Welcome to the Envahement Company Music Podcast with your hosts KP and Ashton Thomas. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
What's happening, y'all?
What's up, everybody?
I'm Ashton.
And I'm KP.
And this is the Vehement Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts.
For music enthusiasts.
That's right. So, it's April, and if anybody, whether you know it or not, April is Jazz Appreciation Month. So, I've been real heavy in my jazz bag on, not even this month, but always, but definitely whenever April comes around, I really start to, delve into it a little more, it's so widespread. It's a widespread genre. It has evolved over the years. Like it seems like every single decade you get some sort of sub-genre of jazz, which we'll talk about that. But there's so much to it. So as you all should know, or some of you know, some of you don't, jazz was originated and birthed out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And, you had like, of course, Louis Armstrong, Baby Dodds, Jelly Roll Morton, McKinney's Cotton Pickers, and, all these different, Sidney Bechet, like the list goes on and on. Man, it's almost like I kind of don't even know where to go from here. So, but that is the basis of it, and like I said, it's just changed and evolved as time and as artists come and go. I think probably the artist that's made the biggest contribution to it, obviously Miles Davis. The decade by decade in the 50s, the real, bebop era, with tunes like Bob Blitz-City and all that, and then the 60s come around, and this the real cool, calm, long drawn out notes, and the sound, like the album Kind of Blue, which is obviously the most popular jazz favorite album, right? Yeah, so I mean, even to this day, that's probably the most revered jazz album out there, and people still stick to that sound, even though the genre has evolved. And then the 70s comes around, and you have what's called fusion music, which is a blend of jazz and rock. Definitely my favorite genre, which if you know,
we'll get into Herbie Hancock and that.
And of course, when the 80s rolled around, it was the smooth jazz era. So it's really like jazz and popular music, like we all know about
yacht rock.
Yacht rock. Yeah, you go to all the jazz festivals. That's what they're playing. We all know about Miles Davis's his cover of Human Nature, and that blew up. That blew up when he did that. Of course, he died in 91, but even after his passing, a lot of acts like Take Six and the Yellow Jackets, they were doing tributes to him after he passed away. Gotcha. So I will say this. I'll say this. There is a famous 3-word quote that's been kind of making its rounds around the whole jazz world. It's jazz is dead. Now, when I first heard this, actually, no, it was Nicholas Payton that I first, he made a whole article talking about jazz died in 1959. And, and ironically, that was the same year where John Coltrane released his album Giant Steps, which is another revered album that a lot of people talk about. And again, that sound of jazz is still to this day, like, even on the collegiate level, like jazz bands and jazz artists, they still, you go to a jazz club, you get jam sessions, it's all tunes from the 50s and 60s, all those standards,
absolutely,
and stuff like that. So yeah, he put out the article Jazz died in 1959. But one thing that I noticed is that not the style, not the genre, but the word jazz. Because he also has another quote, jazz is a 4-letter word. Because I don't think it had any any name to it. Probably like bebop or swing, like when it was birthed out of New Orleans. But you know, for marketing purposes, it was called jazz, which I'm not that offended that was the case, because obviously, you know, with marketing and stuff, you know, you gotta, it's a business. You want to make money doing it and selling it, and actually, so I'm saying even to this day, you know, people still kind of use that phrase like we're trying to, you know, I guess, you know, shun the genre or the style of music, which no, that's not the case. You know, people who actually know the purpose of the music and why it was invented in the first place don't appreciate how somebody else who wasn't there can market it and make it into something that is not, you know, trying to commercialize the music, which is which I get it, but again, for marketing purposes, it has to be done, because it's music and we all want to be musicians and creators, but it's a business at the end of the day. So
Yeah, no different than how they did, you know, that's how they did every genre, especially back then. Like, you know, you talk about the Temptations or any other artist putting the other Persuasion on the album cover so that they would actually buy it, even though it was black voices on the record.
yeah, even the Jackson 5, because I heard Jackson 5, they didn't have a picture of them on their first or actually on their first couple
Yeah.
covers on the album, you know, just to appeal to the masses. So I mean,
Yes.
which definitely not fair, but I mean,
That's
as
what they
somebody
did
who-
back then.
yeah, as somebody who studied the business, I would understand, you know. But like I said, it's so all encompassing and so deep, you know, so wide. We really don't have time to cover it all. So my
Right.
question to you is, and I'll even start, but I was thinking our Mount Rushmore of jazz artists, deceased and still alive. So for my deceased, of course, again, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Chick Corea, and Wayne Shorter. So obviously, it's funny because my favorite Miles Davis tune is called Directions, which, and I'll kind of, I don't mean to be long winded, I really don't, but the Directions album came out in like '68, and that album was like right after like his famous quintet with Tony Williams, Herbie, Ron Carter, and Wayne Shorter. They had just came out with Nefertiti the year prior, which that sound, that cool, that the sound of the birth of the cool was actually coming to a close, and then he started doing fusion, which blended jazz and rock. So Directions, I'll say, which the Chick Corea, he was featured on that album, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Directions is probably my favorite Miles Davis tune. Now Wayne Shorter, it's actually from a Miles record, the Nefertiti record, the tune called Fall, which it's funny. I heard Derek Hodges' version of that song prior. I mean, thanks to Derek Hodge, that's my favorite. That's my favorite Wayne Shorter tune. Like John Coltrane, I'll say either between Naima or Central Park West. I would probably lead towards Central Park West, since that was one of the first Coltrane tunes I've heard. So yeah, probably Central Park West. And of course, Chick Corea, you got to go back to his solo piano days. So this tune called Tones for Jones Bones. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So that would be my Mount Rushmore of deceased jazz artist. Now, still alive, I got Michael Mayo, Jasmine Horn, Ambrose Akinmusier, and Emmanuel Wilkins. Now, for Michael Mayo, I love his song Silence, which is on the Fly album. And I just love how he just navigated through verse and chorus, how he just completely just annihilated that song. So yeah, Silence has to be my favorite. Jasmine Horn, her tune Let Us Take Our Time, which is off the Dear Love album with the big band, which our boy Armor Marshall played that record on. So yeah, I love that one. Now Ambrose Akinmusier, this tune called Memo, which is off of his which he has a very crazy album name to this. The album is called "The Imagined Savior is Far Easier to Paint." That's that's nuts. Like who thinks to put to make that an album name? That's funny,
Right.
but that's
But
very
it's true.
interesting. And then I'll say Emmanuel Wilkins, his tune called Lighthouse, because I love the drum solo on that, which Kwaku Sambre played on it, and he goes bananas on that drum solo. Like my goodness. Then honorable mention, and some people might not like that I'm saying this, but honorable mention, Branford Marsalis from the famous Marsalis family. Now he's very controversial. Like he's probably the Kanye West of jazz. just how, because he has no problem being a jackass and offending people. So it's funny how he actually moves. Now he has a tune called "In the Crease" from his from the contemporary jazz album, which he won a Grammy on that. But yeah, that would have to be mine. So yeah, what about you?
Oh, yes. What about me?
What about
I would
me?
say Mount Rushmore of deceased jazz would definitely have to be Sarah Vaughan for me, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, and Chick Corea. Yeah, and then we said tunes, like one
Yeah, if you
song
had
that we
them,
love from. Definitely for Sarah Vaughan is Misty. Love those. Show off
oh
her
yeah,
range. Like she's just like one of the most controlled, smooth singers, jazz singers that there ever were. So, yeah, Misty, Ella, the scatting queen. Like literally, if you hear proper scatting, they got it from her. Period. I would say How High the Moon. Definitely How High the Moon. A scat master class.
yes,
Like literally. Miles Davis always gonna be blue and green for me. Like it's just I mean, it fits every mood.
yes, it
Like
does.
it's essential jazz. Like literally
Yeah,
essential jazz.
I love that medley.
And then Chick Corea, Spain.
Yes,
Like I mean, not to shout him out, but my ex husband, like, he used to, that's all he used to play. So, yes, like, Spain is that song. It's bright, it's energetic, it's just, it's instantly recognizable. And, yeah, love that tune. So, yeah. For my jazz artists that are here with us in the land of the living, I would say Samara Joy for sure.
oh yeah,
Samara Joy, obviously my favorite, Robert Glasper, who has blended jazz and R&B and fusion and hip hop all together and really just has like created this lane of beautifulism.
oh yeah.
Jasmine Horn was mine too. And then Esperanza Spalding. Love
Oh
her.
yeah.
Saw her in person at a museum a number of years ago and was just literally blown away. She's truly amazing. So yeah, I would say I Know You Know by Esperanza Spalding would probably be my favorite by her. It's probably her most recognizable song. It's playful, shows off how she sings and plays bass at the same time. Just amazing artist. She's just amazing overall. And I always love when her and Robert get together. It's really magical. Like when they do things together, that's just like a sidebar. Just completely amazing. Jasmine Horn. It would be Submit to the Unknown from her Messages album.
Yes.
Love that record. I love that album actually. Just super dope. And actually, you were the one who put me on to her when we first started this podcast a year ago. Coming up on a year ago. And ever since you've mentioned her, like she has just, yeah, she's been in my rotation. So Submit to the Unknown, amazing record. Robert Glasper, it would definitely have to be Let It Ride. I've seen Robert numerous times live, and every time he does it, it's like the first time I've ever heard it, whether it's Mark playing on drums or Chris Daddy Dave on drums or, oh man, what's the guy from Freelance that plays with him also?
Oh,
That's the
Justin.
drummer.
Justin.
Justin on drums. Like, it's just so magical. Like Let It Ride is obviously like a drummer song, but it's the chords too. It's just everything in that song. And to hear it live, it's just amazing. So that would be my favorite for Robert. And Samara Joy, it would be Guess Who I Saw Today, which is a Nancy Wilson rendition, which that is my favorite Nancy Wilson song of all time. I cry every time I listen to it. Just the storytelling in the song. You feel the emotion. You feel like you're sitting in that cafe lit in the corner in the back watching your man cheating on you. You feel what I'm saying? Like it just the storytelling is immaculate, okay?
Yeah.
So Guess Who I Saw Today, and she so masterfully redid it. Like she gave ultimate, like, what's the word that I want to say? Like, respect to Nancy's song. Like it was just an amazing rendition. So yeah, like jazz is just everything. Like it's everything and it's nothing at the same time. It's like
Yes.
whatever you want it to be, which is what I love. Like that's why to me, like obviously modern jazz is more my thing. I'm not a musician, but like I do love like classical jazz as well. But just like this, like when Robert Glasper, The Experiment, I really feel like that was what people was like understanding, like, oh, it can just be like his shows, when you would go to those shows, they weren't doing things that had been done yesterday's show and the day before that show and the day before that show.
Oh, for
They
sure.
was doing exactly what they did on Tiny Desk, making up songs on the spot.
Yes.
So like jazz is it was just like all things. It's whatever you wanted it to be. It wasn't really much right and wrong.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Which is what I think makes the genre so incredibly vast.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And just palatable to so many
Right.
people.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, it actually a couple points that I want to make. Definitely. I guess you're talking more on the lines of improvisation, which is kind of funny because jazz wasn't what invented improvisation, but you do see that quite a bit. Actually, in the beginning stages of it, the only improvisation that would come about is in the solos. But then you started to get, the free jazz and the experimental jazz. It became more and more prominent in the genre. So definitely, and then like you said, Robert Glasper, he took that method and ran with it. So
He did.
it's beautiful to see. And another thing, we would be very remiss if we didn't mention a few other artists who have been doing it for decades. Like one, Herbie Hancock, who's the master. You can't talk jazz, you can't talk fusion, you can't talk none of that without mentioning Herbie, because just like Miles Davis, you've had various stages of Herbie. Of course, from his solo stuff, his first solo stuff, like the albums Juan Dishi and Eye of the Hurricane, and even the stuff that he did with Miles Davis, all those great records like ESP and Nefertiti and all those other ones. And then, of course, and then his fusion era, you had Headhunters, you had Headhunters, Sunlight, you had all these great fusion albums that he released during that time. Thrust, which is another great Herbie Hancock album, had the song Actual Proof, and Butterfly is on the Thrust album. So all those great ones. And then when the 80s rolled around, he got more and more into the pop thing, with stuff like Rocket, so, but thankfully he didn't, I guess, what's the word? He didn't sell out to that effect. So he still stayed true to himself. So definitely him. Dee Dee Bridgewater, who's been a great pillar in the genre, and it's brought on a lot of great young talent, which is one of my favorite saxophonists now, David Sanchez, who's a part of the SF Jazz Collective. And so yeah, definitely shout out to Dee Dee Bridgewater. Kenny Garrett, who played with Miles Davis back in the day. You know, he's been such a pillar in the genre for quite a while. So and these are all people who are still with us. So and you know, when people see this, they'll definitely say that we missed a lot, but we definitely didn't want to be here all day because, you know, this is jazz. I can
Go
we could
on
be here,
and on.
Yeah, we could be here till this time next week just talking about just the great artists and songs, and you know how from The Sound of Music, that movie, how people have taken just music from different classical movies back then, like the song "Someday My Prince Will Come" off of Snow White. You know, Miles Davis, he recorded that and actually made the title of one of his albums and had his wife at the time on the album cover. And then what else? My Favorite Things.
I was about to say, just when we were talking about our Christmas, our favorite, most of those, especially the older stuff, is jazz. Like those, like when I was talking about White Christmas,
Yes.
jazz, like, like so good, bro. Like, yeah, it's so much that we could go into and talk about and touch on and talk. You know, people from all races and creed that have done amazing jazz work, like incredible.
And as I'm thinking about it, we're definitely going to have to do a part 2. Maybe not, you know, not anytime soon, but as we were talking, just a whole lot of other stuff was coming to mind. So, yeah, this is part 2 worthy. I mean, if you're up for it, I definitely am.
Of course, absolutely. We might even throw a guest in here, but we just had to get on here and show appreciation for Jazz Month. I'm a huge lover of jazz. You actually, didn't you study? You play jazz. It's like rooted into you. Like there's no way that we couldn't acknowledge Jazz Appreciation Month. Just honoring a few very, you know, just a minuscule amount of greats that have made a huge impact in the genre. So yeah, like we hope that this just barely touched the surface of what's out there, what's been done, and what's actually happening right now in the genre. But yeah, like jazz, gospel and jazz, everything stems from. So yes.
All right, so this is the Vehement Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts
For music enthusiasts.
That's right, y'all. Free to land.
Be easy.